Coming up, what's the future for Parliamentary Secretary Renwood Wells?
Plus, find out why this 69-year-old man went to court today. The charges may surprise you.
And find out why these Olympic athletes are so excited. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The Deputy Prime Minister is speaking out on the Renwood Wells saga. Wells has been at the center of controversy for weeks over a letter of intent which he allegedly signed with a waste company for the overhaul of the city dump.
Davis says, though, that no action can be taken until the Prime Minister decides. In the meantime, he told us that while Wells remains as Parliamentary Secretary in the ministry, his responsibilities have been reduced. Here's Janae Noel Ferguson.
Although Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works Renwood Wells has been reporting to work as required, Minister of Works Philip Davis says that does not mean that he's an active participant within this ministry.
I think Mr. Wells has taken the view that he's going to wait to see, and he's in discussions now, I'm told, with the Prime Minister, but he's not actively. He's taken a backseat, as it were, as Parliamentary Secretary in the ministry. He comes to the office.
Every day?
He comes to the office.
This after Wells allegedly signed an unauthorized $650 million letter of intent with Stella Waste. Both Davis and the Prime Minister have reportedly completed their investigation, but Davis says in his view some action is needed.
Something ought to happen. What will happen, the consequences of that is in the hands of the Prime Minister. I think there are a number of mitigating factors surrounding what my findings were. But at the end of the day, there should be some consequence, and that consequence is above my pay grade at the moment.
Now, Mr. Davis defended Prime Minister Christie against critics who say that his handling of the matter makes him appear weak and gives the governing party a bad image.
We all have our styles of how we deal with matters. And I do not criticize persons for who they are, what they are. What I do know is that the Prime Minister will act, and he will, as he said before, he's not going to march to anybody else's drum. And that's what seems to be the push here. You do it when I say do it, and if you do it when I say do it, then you are what? Non-supporters of our government will continue to promote it as something that should give us a black eye. Those who are not with us will continue to use it as a punching bag for us. But those who are with us would understand, those who understand parliamentary democracy in the context of the Westminster system will appreciate that it's all a matter of timing.
Now, according to the Manual of Cabinet and Ministry Procedure, a parliamentary secretary is to assist his minister in the parliament and in dealing with parliamentary matters generally. He may also handle such matters as may be assigned to him by the minister to deal with on his behalf. As well as now taking a back seat, his responsibilities are now unclear. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
In other news tonight, the country taking steps to tighten security when it comes to your personal information, especially in light of modern technology. That's why the Data Protection Commission has teamed up with the police in a training seminar as they sharpen their skills in this crucial area. Opening the event today at the Malia Resort was the nation's chief, who said with heavy data sectors like tourism and financial services, data protection is very important.
Visitors and investors want to know that their personal information used during processing of their visits and investments remains secure and not open to unauthorized access, unauthorized disclosure, and loss. I note with great interest that this forum addresses one of my government's mandates for the Office of the Data Protection Commission and related entities, which is to make the Bahamas a preferred destination for data relocation services.
Well, from the police side, Superintendent Paul Roll says securing personal data is also important in the crime fight. He says, be careful of what information you share.
We have seen is persons using and giving out information to persons who later come and prey on them. That's a concern, I think, for us, that we stress to people not to give out too much personal information and don't give out information as to where you live. That will help to keep them safe. In terms with tracking, now with smartphones, we download these apps. We have maps, we have location tracking devices that we put on our devices. We put them in our cars. There's a degree of security issue in terms with people being able to track your movement, and what do they do with that?
Also tonight, Minister of State for Transport and Aviation, Honorable Holt Strawn, urged postal workers to perform their jobs with integrity, stating that it is important to retain the public's trust. Her comments come in light of the media attention on the 2012 Auditor General's report that was tabled in the House of Assembly this week. That report highlighted concerns about possible money laundering, and other fraudulent activities within the Post Office Savings Bank. The report, put together by the Auditor General, Terrence Bastian, covers the time frame of July 1st, 2011 to June 30th, 2012. According to that report, the Post Office Savings Bank has not produced annual reports that are required by law for years.
And it doesn't all go well for us because all of us are then painted with that same brush. Nobody's going to pick out anybody and say, they're going to say the Postal Service. Okay, and so what I want to just really impress on to you is that we have to always keep in mind that reputation is just so important to all of us as we move along in life. Reputation is extremely important. And we have to ensure that our people can always trust us, and trust us especially in the Postal Service.
Strawn was speaking at a World Post Day luncheon at Superclub's Breezes today, which creates awareness of the postal sector and its contributions to the social and economic development of countries. The minister also assured those workers that although it is taking some time, government is working on addressing the structural changes at the main post office. She added that email and advancing technology puts postal services across the globe in danger of extinction. The Postal Service, though, must do more to remain relevant.
It becomes that much more important that we try to preserve what we have. All right, and so when we talk about things like automating the services in the post office and the counters at the post office, and when we talk about providing other products in the post office like overnight courier services and all of those things are almost what you call a necessity nowadays in order for you to be able to make it in postal services.
From the courts, a 69-year-old businessman facing a magistrate today in connection with that customs sting operation last month. Edward Lang is accused of possession of ammunition with intent to supply and importing the same. He is also accused of making a false declaration to customs. The charges are connected to that more than $200,000 seizure last month, where luxury cars, electronics, and ammunition were discovered by authorities. The businessman pleaded not guilty to the charges and was granted bail in the amount of $15,000 with two sureties. He also has to comply with reporting conditions and stay away from witnesses in the matter. Attorney Wayne Monroe represents Lang. Well, still on the crime beat, police are searching for clues that could lead to the arrest of the person or persons responsible for killing 31-year-old Alden Miller. The incident took place off East Street after 10 last night. Police say when they arrived on the scene, they met the victim with multiple gunshot wounds about the body.
This male, along with another, went to a resident to purchase some item to eat. And while there, they were accosted by either one or two males, one of whom was armed with a handgun, who discharged several shots at him, striking him multiple times. He was pronounced dead on the scene by EMS.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.